Okay, so here it is. There are a couple reasons why there's no video about the first Divergent movie on my channel right now. A, I wasn't making videos at the time the movie came out, and B, more importantly, I never saw it while it was in theaters. So over this past weekend, I sat down with a friend and we watched it. And all in all, it was okay. There was some good, some bad, it was pretty equal. But at least I got the context for the sequel, so here we go. The Divergent Series Insurgent. So Insurgent is the second film in the Divergent series based off the young adult sci-fi novels. And in this movie, Tris and the crew are now fugitives on the run. They're running from Kate Winslet and the Erudites, and now they gotta figure out what to do and how to fight back. Now right away, I'm gonna say that in both Divergent films so far, I have seen a lot of similarities to the Hunger Games. They take place in a society that's run by Miss President Snow, and the society is based on a pretty fucked up concept. In this case, it's the population being divided up into factions based on their personality. The main character, Tris, has pretty much the exact same behavioral characteristics as Katniss Everdeen. She wants to bring this government down, but she's scared out of her mind. And now, because of what happened in the first movie, she's having nightmares, she's having PTSD and whatnot, just like Katniss was in Catching Fire. The fact that there are all these similarities to the Hunger Games just immediately causes me to lose connection with the movie. I just kinda nod it off because it's not as special or as well done as the Hunger Games. I didn't really feel any real emotional connection with any of the characters in this movie. They're going about their business, doing their stuff, but when shit's going down, I didn't feel like any of them were really in danger. No suspense at all whatsoever. They are in a dangerous situation, but whenever there's supposed to be suspense, I just didn't feel anything. I just kinda laid back in my theater seat. Now, I've never really been particularly fond of Shailene Woodley. She's never blown me away in a movie yet, and she still hasn't. Sometimes I felt like she was a little over dramatic, but more importantly, she didn't sound strong enough. There are some scenes in this movie where she's really mad and she's showing it, but her little voice just doesn't match in my opinion. Miles Teller is pretty much my favorite character here, because he is a straight up asshole like he was in the first one, but you never know when he might be trying to redeem himself. You just don't know. Plus, he provided some pretty good comic relief in this movie. He was hilarious. Props to him. I finally saw Whiplash, it was awesome. And in this movie, just like the first one, I didn't buy the romance at all. This is the thing that actually had me laughing in both movies. In the first movie, the second you meet the character 4, you instantly know that he's going to be the love interest. So in this movie, they're in a relationship, and whenever this movie takes a break to remind us of that, I'm all like, okay. Here we go. And unfortunately, the romance is not the only thing that had me laughing at this movie. There were some awkward moments that weren't intended to be awkward, but they were, and they just came off as unsettling, and how do we usually respond to that? We laugh. It's a bummer, because the story in this movie, I think, is pretty cool. I liked all the goals that all the characters were going towards, and I liked how it raised the stakes, but there were too many laughable moments where things just got unsettling and I just rolled my eyes. I was into the story because I wanted to know how it was going to end, but I can't say that it had me like on the edge of my seat. It was more like, I'm curious to see how this movie ends because I'm intrigued, but if the theater were to lose power and black out, I wouldn't care enough to be mad about it. I did love the ending though. I'd say the last 15 minutes of this movie are awesome, but the build-up leading up to it just was not enough. The visual effects in this movie were pretty good for the most part. I think this movie used a good amount of CG, but there were some parts that could have been cleaned up a little bit. Like that is obviously a CGI falling Shailene Woodley. You would think that Lionsgate could do better with all the money they made from their previous films, but it didn't bother me too much because it didn't happen that often. So Insurgent had a cool story, but it was brought down by mediocre acting and writing. But it was still good enough that I didn't hate it. So I will say, wait until this movie's at a discount theater, then go see it. If for nothing else, you'll save a few bucks. So Insurgent, have you seen it and did you like it better than the first one? I liked the first one better. But whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.